Hey everybody, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. We're going to check in on crypto after a bunch of long liquidations to start the week. We have some NASDAQ broader market weakness now as well. What does it all mean? Bigger picture. We'll talk about ASTER, the new kid on the block in the alt space hitting all-time highs. Let's get to the charts. Learn how to trade stocks, crypto, and hype sectors with a global chat room led by professional traders, as well as daily live streams at chartguys.com. All right, where's my face? There's my face. Make it small. Okay, so Bitcoin. On Twitter, into the end of last week, we were watching for the possibility of a 12-hour rising wedge. And the reason we were looking for the possibility of a rising wedge was a weekly lower high was on the table as a most likely scenario. Why was a weekly lower high on the table? Because of the size of the pullback. We lost a weekly uptrend on the drop from 124 down to 107, and there was space for that weekly lower high. And so, if we're in blue sky breakout, a 12-hour rising wedge means much less to me than if it aligns with a most likely scenario. And so the 12-hour rising wedge confirmed and set the weekly lower high. We are in an environment right now where there's a lot of despair in the crypto space. And I'm just referring to, what I'm observing on Twitter and things like that. And the reason we have a lot of despair in the crypto space is because many people were anticipating an alt season like 2021, like 2017, where the entire space was going up together. And we don't have that. We have something very different because the components of the market are different in terms of the impact of the ETFs and things like that. And as I've been saying in these live streams, I don't think we get a 2021 alt season. I do think the opportunity is elsewhere, like these crypto stocks. And so we're seeing the reason for the despair is because there's a lot of opportunity cost as well. We know there's, quantum names are ripping thousands of percent. Uranium names have ripped thousands of percent. You've got gold and miners ripping hundreds of percent. Maybe not gold, but there's a lot of opportunity cost because things are going up significantly elsewhere. And so a lot of people that are waiting for crypto alt season are getting close to their breaking point in terms of it's never going to come. So I've already given my opinion on all that stuff. Let's just see where we stand. And let's check in some of the altcoins where there are opportunities. Because again, the market difference is 2021, it's a shotgun. You're just throwing money at the wall and it's working. JPEG rocks are worth millions of dollars. This market environment in crypto, you've got to be a sniper. You've got to be selective and pick and choose. This isn't a mad rush from dumb money. And 2021 was dumb money because everybody was home, getting stimulus checks and trying to be a trader. So where we stand right now is the bounce on Bitcoin was 50% plus bounce retracement. So what does that mean? That means I'm looking for a weekly higher low to try and shape up. And we can easily tighten up on this weekly time frame into mid-October. If the bulls can hold the most important short-term support of 107,000, we will look for a higher low. And so bulls are hoping for the equilibrium at this point. If we break 107,000, the weekly downtrend will be confirmed. Monthly consolidation will be underway. And for me, it'll be all about monthly EMA 12, which will be in the upper $90,000 range at that point. So one time frame at a time. I care about the weekly. That's where it's most clear for me. And if we're going to see a weekly higher low shape up, we need a daily uptrend back to the bulls to try and shape up. We haven't confirmed a daily downtrend yet. We lost the daily uptrend. And the next question that I have is, do bears confirm the daily downtrend as the result of the next bounce? Do we see a daily lower high and lower low? We know there's a lot of space for a daily lower high to be the most likely result of the next bounce because of how much we dropped. And yes, a lot of this drop was longs being liquidated. Why were there a bunch of longs being liquidated? I believe in part it was due to the FOMC reaction. The stock market gave the FOMC reaction the green light to the bulls. IWM, the Russell 2000, which shows risk on, hit all-time highs. NASDAQ, S&P 500, all-time highs. Yet Bitcoin didn't really do much of anything, and then it rolled over as everybody that made big long bets was proven wrong in the short term and were liquidated. And so that's when you get the start of the week, the big flush, very fast, a lot of stops being triggered, altcoins dropping harder. And while that happens, the dominance chart bounces. So dominance chart, technically the weekly bounce is underway. We are going to look for a weekly lower high to be the result of that bounce, but the bounce is going up in dominance because alts are dropping faster than Bitcoin. And checking in on alts today, it's a mixed bag. A little bit of green, a little bit of red, but obviously yesterday was a lot more red out there. So checking in on the NASDAQ, again, just full bull control, a little bit of a pullback right now today, but the daily uptrend is going to be our guide and let us know if anything is shifting if we lose the daily uptrend, but not at risk of losing it at this point in time. So let's look at ETH. And thanks for likes and shares and follows. I'll read the chat room here when I'm done my spiel. But we have ETH confirming a little weekly lower high and lower low. As we know, it's all about previous resistance, now support, just above 4,000. This was a triple top of resistance, and actually, yeah, triple top of resistance. And it held the initial test a month plus ago, and now bulls are attempting to hold it again. If we hold that level, it's going to be a confirmed weekly downtrend with no follow through, which is a potential bull flag. But we're still testing it. So, and you know, we can dip below it and trigger stops, but if you dip below 4,000, you got to pop right back above it and continue to hold it with these weekly candles. Because if we lose 4,000, monthly consolidation is underway. And this is the kind of thing where I look at this chart, and regardless of what I feel is likely to happen in the short term, I have to remind myself we just went straight up 260% with no monthly trend change back to the bulls. So can we keep going up and break 5,000 with no monthly consolidation? Yes. Would monthly consolidation surprise me in the slightest, having gone up 260% with no monthly trend change? No. It's a monthly inside bar with a week left in the month. It's very likely going to end as a monthly inside bar. And if it breaks bear, we're going to then look for a monthly higher low to be the result of that consolidation. Just like Bitcoin, we'll be watching monthly EMA 12 to try and form a monthly higher low as well if bears are able to follow through. Another reason, again, as to why people are so annoyed with the crypto space is Bitcoin divided by the NASDAQ is testing the weakest it's been in 5 months. We're right there right now. So we're close to being able to say this is the weakest Bitcoin has been to the NASDAQ in over 5 months of trading. That's significant. And again, that just points to the opportunity cost elsewhere, where a bunch of major stocks have gone up a lot more than Bitcoin over the last 2-3 months or so. So a little bit of despair out there. The technicals on the chart are not giving, again, if you show me this Bitcoin chart in a bubble and don't tell me anything else about what's going on, I'd say, okay, we need to be cautious of the weekly uptrend changing to a weekly downtrend, but there's no major red flags on this chart right now. Break 107, and then we can, there's some more red flags coming. But at this point in time, it's because of the backdrop of so much else of what's going on that is leading. I mean, again, just looking at GDX, these miners on the weekly time frame, metal miners up 40%. They're leveraged the leveraged ETFs are up 80% in 2 months of trading. So again, there's just opportunity elsewhere. ASTER is getting the attention, and shout out to the Chart Guys members who were all over this early on this narrative, and they understand it much more than I do. I don't pretend to follow, obviously CZ and Binance and all that, but to follow the intricacies of who's pumping what and who's bullish what, I am not following closely. But as I've been saying in these streams, if you're focusing on things in the alt space, you want things with a lack of price history near all-time highs. That's where you're going to get your best bang for your buck in terms of potential rewards, because you don't have years of bag holder supply that requires billions of dollars to work through. And so here you've got ASTER And, you know, it's a lot of volume, a couple 100 million, but it's nothing insane. So we had a nice uptrend. We pulled back. We had a 4-hour, just a 4-hour stair step up, stair step down. We built a base of support at 127. We bounced, we tested it, and it held. And then we got another move up to a new all-time high. So I'd say just keep the 4-hour uptrend as your guide here. And obviously you want to see back burners working. You want to see 15-minute oversold, mark a 4-hour higher low if we get there. And when we lose the 4-hour uptrend, it'll be the first indication that maybe things are topping here in the short term and to be more cautious as a bull. But nice move up here. Again, Binance has been holding on just fine as a blue sky breakout bull. It's not making people rich over the last month, but it's a nice uptrend. And it's blue sky breakout, a lack of resistance. You've got some other names like, XRP just tested a key support level and it held. Bulls are defending this support. You can see it was the double bottom back here, and now it's a triple bottom. Obviously, that's a very important support level going forward in the short term. We've got our downtrend resistance line we can draw here to just have a bit of a visual guide. It is a potential descending triangle, which is a bearish pattern. So the burden's on bulls to prove to us that this support at, we'll just call it 270, this support obviously just needs to keep holding, because if we lose it, monthly consolidation will be underway. So that's really what we're watching into the next 2 weeks into mid-October. We're looking for information. Is monthly consolidation shaping up or not? And again, every day is going to give us a little bit of more information. If you're a bear, the checklist is set a daily lower high. Next bounce on Bitcoin, don't see 50% plus bounce retracement. Confirm the daily downtrend. That has to happen. Right now, we got the 4-hour downtrend as our guide. If you're zoomed in, EMA 12, rejected, rejected, rejected. So that's our full bear control guide in the short term. When we get over 4-hour EMA 12, we'll look for the daily bounce and we'll look for the daily lower high. So one time frame at a time, determine what's most important to you. Because I'm not day trading crypto right now, I don't care about the 4-hour chart. I care about the daily and the weekly. And again, other than that, there are a bunch of altcoins that did hit multi-month lows. CRV just hit the lowest price that we've seen in the last 2+ months. So again, that's part of where the despair is coming from. Monthly consolidation's already underway for CRV. We had some bull breaks in the likes of Mana and Sand. Those lacked follow through. We couldn't break the second equilibrium resistance level. Doge had that bull break. Again, just pretty much everything that broke bull just saw a lack of follow through into either weekly or monthly consolidation. As far as the crypto stock world is concerned, we actually did see rotation into these old school miners. CLSK, again, another reason for frustration is CLSK, miner that hasn't done anything, plus 65% in 2+ weeks of trading, while many altcoins are not doing that. But CLSK hitting highest levels of the year. Riot had a nice move up, hitting the highest levels testing the highest levels of the year. And MARA is the weakest of the three. But nice to see some rotation into those, we'll call them OG miners. The other miners like BITF have topped out for now. But again, they had a big time run up, 180%. IREN still chugging along. Man, this thing is resilient. Definitely looking for a temporary top, but I've been looking for a temporary top for a week and it hasn't happened yet. So again, you can point out the places where, well, there was significant gains here and here. So why is everybody in despair mode? Because people were anticipating easy mode where, again, everything just goes up together. Doesn't matter if you're picking the right one, you're going to make gains. Maybe it won't be as much. The difference this cycle is rather than everything going up and some things going up more, there's only some things going up and there's a bunch of stuff going down. So obviously, significant difference. And in my opinion, one of the major aspects of that significant difference is the role that, TradeFi has had on stock brokers with this Bitcoin bull market. And we'll see if we get an alt season, that is reminiscent of old times, and I would love to be wrong. I really would. We'll see. BMNR, equilibrium, just a classic. Shoot up, big pullback, lower high. We'll scout a higher low. This equilibrium will break likely maybe first, second week of October. We'll continue to keep an eye on that. But that's what I'm watching in the MSTR, another underperforming name whose premium has been fading ever since all-time highs. And again, it's just, MSTR last week was testing the lowest price that it's seen in 5 months. So, and the biggest thing for me is, I made a post on Twitter back in March where, maybe setting your calendar for when repeated life-changing opportunities are going to happen isn't the most likely scenario. Markets don't work that way. Bitcoin's been a gift to be able to put the cycle on a calendar. That's not how markets work outside of, Bitcoin. And so, to be able to say, well, altcoins are going to rip 1,000% again after already doing it the prior 2 times, the game isn't that easy. You just don't get scheduled life-changing opportunities. They come along, quantum stocks out of nowhere, but you can't set your watch to it and just assume it's going to happen every X years. And Bitcoin's going to lose it as well. Bitcoin will lose. I know mathematically it's ingrained. It's going to lose its cycle. It's just not how markets work. All right. AVNT, yep, seeing some of that rotation. And again, just a lack of price history, blue sky breakout. Have we hit hourly oversold yet? Not yet. Bulls want to see hourly oversold, mark a daily high or low, or, ideally set a daily high or low without getting hourly oversold. That would show a good bit of strength, but little hourly inverse head and shoulders just confirmed. Just got to be more protective. Take partial profits a bit quicker. Walk up stops. Sol. So nice rollover on Sol. Lost the daily uptrend. Zoom out. Weekly high or low is the most likely scenario. There is a lot of space for it. Anything above 155.75. Gary's in a short. Runner left. I mean, my style. I love being risk-free. Take partial profits. Set your stop. Ideally over the high of where ideally get enough pullback where you set your stop over the high of where we just came from. And we then look for, stick your stop above that. If that's a longer term top, I nail it and I'll have a big win. And if it's not, I don't lose anything. I just love being in that very comfortable mindset. Definitely watching, again, the S&P 500 has been in euphoria mode. Weekly consolidation won't be surprising the next time it happens, but we do have a clear daily uptrend guide, EMA 12 guide as well. We'll see if that shifts. Obviously, we could say Bitcoin is not positioned well if the broader market were to see any kind of meaningful top. Even if it's just a weekly bull flag, Bitcoin would likely be heading back down towards 107 and potentially even break it. Not doing Tesla analysis on a crypto stream. Yeah, any of the ETH treasury companies that can buy to defend 4,000 obviously would be meaningful. AVAX has been seeing some strength. Again, I would put it in the bull category Why? Because pretty much any altcoin that's hitting multi-month highs is in a bull category. This was one of the weekly equilibriums that went really well. Just a tightening range that broke bull and followed through. I think in the last live stream, we were talking about how bulls need to hold any back test of this resistance as support, and we didn't drop down to it. So bulls are doing a good job with AVAX. Again, when we don't have a ton of clear alt bulls, this is one of them. And that was a really nice response to hourly oversold. Actually, did we get to 4 hour? Yeah, we got 4 hour oversold. Daily bull break without follow through. I'd almost be treating that as a double top and just watching for the possibility of a 12-hour equilibrium to shape up. Maybe some other exchanges rejected from that resistance. You'd need to check around a bit. Class action lawsuit for BITF. I didn't see that headline. That'll put in a top to euphoria. So MARA trying to be a laggard, but it's just the weakest. We failed this resistance. CLSK had a headline that helped it break bull. And Riot also topped out there, but Riot has been leading this move up for the OG miners over the last couple of weeks. So MARA is the weakest of the three. And bulls are hoping it's not this all over again. Top, fail it, and then roll over. Top, fail it, gotta hold 17. If you break 17, definitely a red flag. AEVOUSDT. So that's a pump and dump. Got a stink bug flying around. A pump and dump in the sense that we've given back way more than the bulls want to. Just no support. Nobody, no bid support. Bulls got to hold. I'd be watching for the possibility of a 12-hour higher low compared to 945, but tons of space for the lower high, even if we set it. You got to keep that retracement healthy. You don't want to give back more than half of a move. And this is, giving back 80% of the move. What do I think about order flow? I personally don't use it, but I'm in the school of thought with trading that, I don't use Ichi Clouds. There's an Ichi Cloud trader out there who's a better trader than me. I don't use Elliott Wave. There's an Elliott Wave trader out there who's better than me. I won't say just because I don't use something doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. It just doesn't fit my edge, doesn't fit my trading style. Essentially, I've got my trading style where I want it. It's working. And it has been working for a long time, and it'll change, I'm sure, eventually as market environments change. But until that's the case, I'm not looking to add anything. So I don't use order flow, but maybe it's useful for you. Maybe it will be. It's the kind of thing like when I was learning trading, I was trying everything. I did put Ichi Clouds on my chart for a while, and I played around with it and just. Eventually you cycle through a bunch of stuff and you eliminate a bunch of stuff and you get left with what works for you, hopefully. And usually it's, a period of adding a whole bunch of stuff and your chart's a complex mess. And then you, over time, narrow it down and trim things. LGHL. Also keep in mind that eventually, this is a FOMO cycle for crypto treasury companies, and that's going to go away. That's going to stop working. So I don't know anything about LGHL, but I just know this is an ugly chart. This is not a bullish chart in any way, shape, or form. You're in a downtrend on every single time frame. Yeah, this is as bearish a chart as you can find. And there's no volume. You're trading less than $2 million a day. Today you've traded less than $500,000. Do I think Bitcoin will still have really bad crypto winters? Yes, it will be aligned with the broader market bears. Do I think it'll be 80-85% drawdown? Maybe not. I mean, just like I think, the percentage gains to the upside are shrinking with the market cap growing and liquidity growing, I think that limits some of the downside as well. So maybe 50-65% instead of 75-85%. I don't know. That's just a guess. That's what I would imagine would happen with the adoption that's taken place in the role of ETFs. Sortino watching for 6 years. Thanks for the support. FET. Back down, testing the lows. I mean, again, anything where we could say we're hitting the lowest price in months, the opposite, right? I just said the stronger names where we can say anything hitting the highest level in months stands out for its strength. Anything hitting the lowest levels in months stands out for its weakness. And so we have a clear weekly downtrend. We just hit the lowest price in months, and 5486 has to hold, because if you lose that, you're at the lowest level in 5+ months, and not a ton of supports after that. So clear weekly downtrend. Just keep it simple, right? Nothing about this chart changes if we keep setting weekly lower highs as the result of every bounce. It's just a simple, straightforward trend statement. BCH. The relative strength has been standing out. Last live stream we talked about, got to be a little cautious. It might be shifting here. And what was the clue? There's your clue. This is such a good example. BCH BTC did not break resistance. BCH USD broke resistance. That is a little light in your brain that turns on and says, hey, I need to be cautious. This is not the ideal scenario for bulls. If it were, BCH BTC would break resistance as well. So we broke resistance into a hard drop, and it's looking like this may be a top being put in. This may be a relative strength to Bitcoin top being put in. We don't have enough information to say yes, it is, because it's still a clear weekly uptrend, but we just broke a weekly stair-step pattern where it was a higher low every week for 2+ months. That has shifted. We can say something is shifting. And now the big question is going to be, is this a longer term lower high? Is this just a monthly lower high on the BCH BTC chart? And are we about to see monthly consolidation? That's a possibility. So got to be cautious about this potential shift that is underway. BCH itself is still a weekly uptrend, approaching weekly support. If it holds, we'll have to be cautious of weekly head and shoulders. But all of the cautionary red flags are happening on the BTC pairing. And of course, you never want to break resistance right into a pullback. That has us watch for a rising wedge. Am I a price action trader or only a trend trader? Those are the same thing for me. Price levels determine the trend. Those are the same thing. Anybody can short crypto now, and that's the first time that's been a thing. If you really wanted to, you could find places to do it. What I mean is, this is where if you've got a stock brokerage account, you can short crypto. It's never been this easy. So just something to be aware of. Not going to talk oil on the crypto stream. ETHFIUSDT. So it looks like another name that broke resistance with zero follow through. Still weekly higher lows. Bulls need to hold $1 to keep that the case. Same as Bitcoin in the sense that okay, we lost the daily uptrend. Do we confirm the daily downtrend from here? Or was that just a liquidation flush, like a sucker punch? Google Chart Guy's sucker punch for a video describing everything about that. Is that just a liquidation sucker punch, or do bears follow through? Watch that video if you don't know what I mean. But nice bounce retracement, 50% plus. I'd be watching for the possibility of a 12-hour tightening range. If we top out here, we'll look for then a 12-hour higher low to tighten up. Getting out of trades too early. So again, my style is taking partial profit, setting a stop, and then it's just discipline at that point, where you either need to get off the computer and stop watching the flashing numbers, or just say to yourself, I will not exit unless this stop loss is hit. And if you're unable to do that, then that just means you need more work on discipline. And the number one thing I say about getting discipline in your trading is you have to get it in your life. Trading is a lifestyle. So you got to be disciplined about what you eat. You got to be disciplined about your health and exercise. You got to be disciplined about everything. It's the kind of thing, just an example, I'm very disciplined because I'm a full-time trader. And they legalized sports betting in our state. And so I took advantage of all the promos. It was something dumb, like you put on $10, you get $100 to bet with. I know why they do that, because they suck people in and make them addicted. But I know my discipline. And I just said to myself, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take advantage of these 5 different companies' promos. I ended up making a few $1,000s, gave it back. I'm up. But I said to myself, I will not deposit $1 more on a gambling site after I do those promos. And so I made a few $1,000s. I cashed off everything that I put on plus a couple $100. And then eventually over time, I lost everything else. But I will never put money on those accounts. And I knew that it was safe for me to do that, because I knew that if I said that, and it's something I said out loud, right? You can write it down, you say it out loud, make it more real, because I'm not a liar. I don't lie. And if I say I'm not going to put money on a betting site and then I do, I'm now a liar. That's an example of discipline in your life outside of trading that you've got to cultivate, and then have your trading discipline align with trade or discipline in your life. WLFI, last one here. Got to get back to the last hour of trading to see if the bears, we're testing the low of the day in the NASDAQ. So clear hourly downtrend. Nothing changes if we're setting hourly lower highs. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. So the last lower high was 201. Could it be a falling wedge? Possible. You got to hold 1858. That is the line in the sand for bulls to defend. But you got to break the hourly lower highs, which bulls have been unable to do for the last bunch of hours. MSTR. So again, my mindset has been, wow, we rejected from it again. I'm so bummed I missed that. Oh, it's so beautiful. My mindset has been, if 358 is resistance, it's bearish. Why? Held. That is the key support. 358. We lose it. We reject right off of it into bearish continuation. Man, did I miss that Thursday. Such a perfect rejection. 358. Reject right off of it, and then roll over back towards the lows. 358 is the level that everybody is watching from space. Support zone, 317 to 320. It's looking like we're heading back down to test that support zone. All right, I got to bounce. Thanks again for the likes. We'll check back in. Again, just establish the game plans for all different scenarios, bullish and bearish. Protect yourself, preserve your capital. This is a harder cycle. There's no doubt about it. This is the cycle. The other cycles were for retail who had no idea what they were doing. This is the cycle for experienced traders. And hopefully you've been through a few cycles to gain some of that experience, so it's at least not brutal. And don't forget to do good things, and we will see you soon.